Members of this outrageous team are Joe Rocky Perone, driving his Cherry Hemi-powered 40 Willys coupe. The elder statesman of the Wild Bunch, 47-year-old Carol Hine. The one and only Camp Stanley and his outrageous new Ford Taurus station wagon. Wild Buck Proctor with his unusual and unique Chevy-powered Buick Opal. Elmer Wachter, commonly known as Dr. Wacko, and his 86 CJ7 Jeep. And the fastest car of the group, the 190-mile-an-hour Datsun of Tommy Howes. The most popular car and probably the highest wheel stander of any door slammer, the Bright Light Camaro of Denny Brightwell. Rounding out the bunch is the awesome lowrider IROC Z28 Camaro of Jeff Weddle. This is the Wild Bunch, the super team, the track freaks, the crazy exhibitionists of the quarter mile.
Hi, my name's Elmer Wachter, better known as Dr. Wacko. I'm the leader and coordinator of a group of racers known as the Wild Bunch. The Wild Bunch, a group of racers as diversified as a Jeep, to a Chevrolet truck, to an 86 Datsun, Camaros, all door slammer type of vehicles and bodies that you can recognize, is a group of racers based in Central Maryland. This is my 86 CJ7 Jeep powered by a small block aluminum Chevrolet motor with an automatic transmission. The quickest time for my Jeep is an 8:32 at 165 miles an hour. Camp Stanley 75 Love pickup truck powered by a big block Chevrolet with a Lanco. Flies down the track, sometimes both lanes, but he usually makes the quarter mile in good fashion. Tommy Howes, the pilot of the 86 300 ZX Datsun, the quickest car to date in the Wild Bunch. With speeds approaching 200 mile an hour and ETs in the low 7s. Dennis Brightwell, probably one of the favorites in the group, a 67 Camaro, all steel body, powered by a 427 Chevrolet. This car probably is the closest to a wheel standard that the whole group has, as when it leaves the line, the wheels are in the air. Carol Hines in the 27T Roadster, powered also by a big block Chevrolet. Best ET around 782 at 178 mile an hour. Jeff Weddle, 85 IROC Camaro, powered by a 543-inch Backman Rat. Also a 4-speed Lanco car, best time ever several weeks ago with a 729 at 182 miles an hour. These cars in between rounds come back, check the valve lash, check for any parts that are broken, and repack the parachute, check the air pressure in the tires, and then we're up for a second round. Hope we do well.
Here we go with the first round of qualifying for the Wild Bunch. In the far lane, it's going to be the racing brain surgeon, Dr. Wacko, Elmer Wachter. He'll be taking on the most unusual car in the Wild Bunch, the unbelievable 1987 Ford Taurus station wagon of Camp Stanley, powered by 497 cubic inch Allen Root Ford shotgun Hemi. So here we go, the first pair of the Wild Bunch getting ready to qualify. Those cars rolling into the bleach box now to get those rear tires wet. They burp at one time to spin them through the water. And here we go, it's burnout time. Dr. Wacko's Jeep is powered by a small block Chevrolet, one of the few small motors that are running here today, a real lightweight CJ7 Jeep, and you can see he's really exposed out there, an open-bodied machine. 497 cubic inch Ford shotgun motor for the power, and a 1987 Ford Taurus station wagon. It's a lot heavier than Dr. Wacko's Jeep. It needs a lot of horsepower to make it move down the track. So they're just about ready to go. This first round of qualifying for the Wild Bunch. Burnout, so does Dr. Wacko. He got his famous nickname as a result of his wacky antics on the track. In addition to flipping his Jeep over during a burnout, he did a 360 in the middle of a run and still ran a low 10. Stanley literally sits in the back seat of that Taurus wagon, the front seat filled up with all that motor. He's got the engine set back, engine's halfway under the hood, halfway underneath the dashboard. These guys are putting on a show, and did you see the wheel stand on the Jeep as he left the start line? Stanley's known as the Greasy Pygmy. It's a nickname he got from being short and always covered with grease from working on his cars. He's always built and raced unusual machines. Different is his middle name. His last ride was a Chevy Low pickup truck that was notorious for hitting the guardrail and even the Christmas tree on burnouts. Stanley drove on around him. So the big-inch Ford in the right lane gets the win. Next pair, Joe Perron in that wild 1940 Willys. He'll be taking on Wild Buck Gloucester. What a sideways burnout by Wild Buck. The Joe Perron here in the near lane. 1940 Willys. Powered by a big-inch Chrysler Hemi engine. Real powerful machine. Wild Buck Proctor over there in the left-hand lane with a pink and lime green Buick Opal. He's got a big block Chevy engine for the power. That's his wife backing him up. You'll notice the blower in the roll cage. She painted that with her nail polish. That's not paint, it's nail polish to paint this car. The Willys here in the right-hand lane has been in drag racing for 30 years. They've been campaigning with this car. Both cars really hooking up nicely here at Motor City. The Wild Bunch guys, they really love to do these dry burnouts. It's not only part of the show, but it helps them make sure that their car is ready before it goes down the track. Perron is 50 years old. His son is his crew chief, and he's building a 1933 Willys to join the bunch next year. Okay, here's the most popular car in the Wild Bunch circuit. Denny Brightwell, 67 Camaro in the near lane. He calls it Bright Light. Look at that car getting sideways in the bleach box. The way this car leaves the start line with his wheels up, it's a real free-flow advantage. Now that's what I call a burnout. My God, look at the smoke. It's covering the starting line. Denny Brightwell really boiling the rear tires. He'll be taking on the world's fastest grandfather. Cal Hines over there with his wild fuel-altered pickup truck. Brightwell left the starting line on that burnout. Unbelievable. Really smoking the tires. So the crew members guiding them back into the starting line area. They want to get them lined up where there's tracks went across the starting line. That's where they're going to get the most traction. Now watch the Camaro on the dry burnout. If he hooks up right now, I'm sure he's going to. You see him really going to pick up them wheels. Brightwell really hooking up nicely on the dry burnout, lifting those front wheels. A big 500 cubic inch Chevy engine, an iron block. It's not an aluminum engine, by the way. It's an iron engine. Look at I'll tell you, Brightwell is ready. That car is working nicely. Watch the Camaro here in the near lane. When he leaves the start line, wheels up, the crowd goes nuts. A lot of horsepower there. A real good working car. And if everything's right, he definitely puts on a pass you're never going to forget. So both cars lining up, staging very carefully. Here we go. Brightwell is flying, let me tell you. Boy, the crowd loves it. Brightwell gets the win. Ladies and gentlemen, you're about to see the hottest two cars in the Wild Bunch. The lowriders, Jeff Weddle with a Z28 Camaro and Tommy the Who House with a Datsun 300ZX. With the Z28 Camaro here in the near lane. Big supercharged Rodeck smoking through the hood. The same motor over there for Tommy the Who House. It's a 300 Datsun ZX body machine. He's the fastest car on the circuit. He's run laps times in the low 7s at over 190 miles per hour. Weddle has sort of like taken half this year off, but now out here in competition with his Camaro. He'd really like to put it to Tommy House here in this first round of qualifying. Both cars lining up. Now here we go with the driver. These cars are based on stock production cars, the 300ZX or Z28 Camaro. But there's nothing stock about these. Complete race car tube chassis. The body panels, the fiberglass, acid dip, steel, and aluminum. They really are good running, good hooking car. Here in the near lane is a little bit faster. He's run low ET for the Wild Bunch, low 7s at over 190 miles per hour. We're here at Motorcity Dragway in Leicester, New York for the first ever meeting between these two groups of cars. Over here on the right, it's the Midwest-based Supercharged Outlaws. Their competition here today, on my left, will be the East Coast-based Wild Bunch. Both of these groups of cars are built for one purpose, that's supercharged match racing. There's no real legal class for these cars. Let's take a look at some of these cars that are going to be making up our show here today. Over here on my left, the wild brand new Ford Taurus station wagon to Camp Stanley, a 498 cubic inch Allen Root. Aries Ford Hemi engine powers this car. Mid 7-second times at speeds of over 180 miles per hour. Over here on my right, the leader of the Supercharged Outlaws, Frank and Linda Mazy's wild Pontiac Firebird powered by a big Chrysler Hemi engine, also supercharged and fuel injected. Next up in the Wild Bunch, it's Buck Proctor. They call him Wild Buck. Big block Chevy engine propels this little Buick Opel GT down the drag strip. A wild pink and green paint job really makes it a big hit with the fans. This is the wild Fiat-bodied car of Tony Polano. A big block Chevy engine powers this wild stretched Fiat-bodied machine. Next up is the grandfather of the group, Carol Hines. It calls it a fuel-altered. It's a 23 T-bucket bodied pickup truck powered by a big block Chevrolet, supercharged, fuel-injected on alcohol. Phil Martino drives this 23 T-bucket Ford, powered by a small block Chevrolet, supercharged and fuel-injected, a complete custom-built body, as you can see. Real nice-looking car. Dave Perotti drives this little Chevette, powered by a big block Chevrolet Supercharged, fuel injected on alcohol. It's got an altered wheelbase to try to keep the front end of this car down on the ground as he makes those 7-second passes down the quarter mile. This is the very slick Z28 Camaro of Jeff Weddle. 1987 Z28 powered by a 580 cubic inch aluminum Rodec racing engine. Again, supercharged, fuel injected, and runs on methanol alcohol. This is the crazy 1948 Fiat-bodied car of Dave Dudley. As you can see, a big block Chrysler Hemi engine powers this car, a big wing on the back using a 1948 Fiat-bodied, all custom built in fiberglass and mated to this racing tube chassis. This is one of the more popular cars on the Wild Bunch circuit. It's called the Bright Light Camaro of Denny Brightwell, a basically stock 1967 Camaro powered by a big-inch Chevy racing engine equipped with a Pro Stock style Lenco transmission. Its wheel stands off the starting line and the crowd loves it. This is one of the faster cars on the Supercharged Outlaws circuit. This is Bo McDaniel's 1923 Ford T-Bucket bodied machine powered by a supercharged, fuel-injected, small block Chevrolet. Right behind him, another 23 T-Bucket bodied machine. This is Mike McIntyre. He chose the same body style, but as you can see, the car powered by a supercharged big block Chevrolet engine. This is probably the fastest car on the Wild Bunch circuit. Tommy the Who Hows, a 1987 Datsun 300 ZX body powered by a 540 cubic inch aluminum Rodec racing engine. This car runs ETs in the low 7s at over 190 miles per hour. Mike DiDomenico drives this 23 T-Bucket car, powered by a big block supercharged, fuel-injected Chevy. It's definitely one of the crowd pleasers with its wild wing hanging off the back. This is the 1940 Willys, a Rocky Perone, a beautiful car powered by a supercharged, fuel-injected, big-inch Chrysler Hemi engine. Here's the captain of the Wild Bunch, the 86 CJ7 Jeep, powered by a small block Chevrolet engine. It's driven by the man they call Dr. Wacko, the racing brain surgeon. This car is a definite crowd pleaser each and every time it goes down the track. Right next to him is a wild 35 Chevrolet, a Smack Smith out of Canada, a charter member of the Supercharged Outlaws, powered by a big-inch Chrysler Hemi. This 35 Chevy lowrider is a definite crowd pleaser when this comes out of the bleach box. We're at Motorcity Dragway in Leicester, New York for the first ever confrontation between the Midwest-based Supercharged Outlaws and the East Coast-based Wild Bunch. All these cars are real outlaws. There's no class for these cars. All these cars built for one express purpose, to match race. There is no real legal class for any of these cars, but they're meeting here for the first time. It's race day here at Motorcity Raceway in Leicester, New York. I'm Bobby Dorr from Main Event Video. And here we go. The battle you came to see, the Wild Bunch taking on the Supercharged Outlaws. First in the bleach box, ready to burn out. It's the one and only Tommy the Who House. That's a 300 SX, the fastest and quickest car in all Wild Bunch racing. His competition, getting ready to go, pulling into the bleach box into the near lane. Mr. Dave Dudley with his Hemi-powered 1948 Fiat Topolino. Look at that car, that wild wing on the back, and he's got a tough customer he's going to bring out. So two different ways to attack this supercharged type of racing. Oh, Tommy Houses seemed to have a problem. He backed up after his burnout and shut the car off. And a disappointed crew, I don't know what the problem is. The helmet is coming off, and he's definitely out of competition. So it's going to be a single run for Dave Dudley. Dudley takes an easy win in this bracket race. The next pair finds a David and Goliath battle. It's a door slammer versus a funny car. You can feel the thunder in the ground. Okay, so Larry Frederick here in the near lane, the Supercharged Outlaw, the Obsession funny car. He's going to be racing the most popular car on the Wild Bunch circuit, the Bright Light Camaro of Denny Brightwell. This thing is a wheel-standing son of a gun, let me tell you. A real popular car. That big cubic inch Chevrolet powering the car. Brightwell really picking up on the sidewalk. And side by side as they go down the drag strip, anybody's race. The winner is the Vega funny car. Takes it, just barely nips Brightwell in the lights. Okay, next up, fired and running. The oldest racer here today, I'm sure. He's a grandfather, Mr. Carol Hines. He's got his son helping him out tonight. He's got his grandson even out here helping him. It's a little wild little 1923 T-Bucket. He's one of the older members of the Wild Bunch. So all the guys in the group, they kid him. They say he needs nitroglycerin pills to get him started. Hunt gets there first, but loses. Well, that's bracket racing. Okay, next up, fired and running. Pulling into the burnout box in the far lane, it's Mr. Jeff Weddle, the low rider. IROC Z28 Camaro. 548 cubic inch aluminum Rodeck racing engine for the power. Oh, what a burnout by Weddle. He is ready, let me tell you. He's going to be taking on Fred Clark. Today's battle is a bracket race running on an index of 7.90. So instead of bolting for the finish line in a win lane, these guys have to make sure they don't run quicker than a 790. So they slam on their brakes and the lights in order to slow it down. This was done in order to equalize runs between both teams. Now this is the first time the Wild Bunch has ever run a bracket race, so we can only wait and see how we'll adapt to this type of format. Weddle shuts off early breakout style for an easy win. Here comes the brain surgeon. Elmer Wachter, commonly known as Dr. Wacko, drives the Quicksilver Jeep, a fiberglass replica of a CJ7 mounted on a 98-inch tube chassis. The 2,300-pound Milodon-powered Jeepster usually runs mid-7 and over 170 miles an hour. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the most unusual car you're going to see here today. The 1987 Ford Taurus station wagon of Camp Stanley. Taking on that little small block Chevy powered dragster.
Now the tourist station wagon, as all you yuppies out there know, it's a direct rip-off of the Audi wagon, yes. The Camp Stanley sitting in the back seat of that Taurus. The front end, the whole front end completely modified. That big engine shoved back in the chassis. Most of the motors underneath where the dashboard was sitting. You can see Stanley sitting in the back seat. Next up is Mike DiDomenico's Wing Thing against old-timers Joe Perot. Okay, so it's Joey Perot over there in the far lane. 1940 Willys with a big Chrysler Hemi supercharged engine for the power. He'll be taking on Mike DiDomenico's wild 1923 T-Bucket altered. Look at DiDomenico's car. Isn't that a wild-looking machine? 23 T-Bucket body, supercharged, fuel-injected, big block Chevy engine for the power, giant wing on the back. Joe and his son Rocky own a racing transmission shop back home, and this car is the only Chrysler Hemi-powered door slammer in the group. Mike DiDomenico takes the win. Rocky Perone had a hole shot right off the starting line. A good leave. Domenico bobbled a little bit off the line, but finally managed to drive around Perone as he had some problems at the big end. Wild Buck Proctor over there in the far lane. Opel GT. We had to move back for that. They were out of shape on the burnout, let me tell you. This is going to be the Brain Shake altered here in the near lane, taking on Wild Buck Proctor, that little Opel GT in the far lane. Buck Proctor's car powered by another big block supercharged fuel-injected alcohol-burning Chevy. A wild pink paint job, his chassis painted lime green. I understand his wife liked that color and matched the nail polish. I think he's gonna. Left lane gets it, so the Brain Shake car takes another win for the Supercharged Outlaws. Buck Proctor got the hole shot, tried real hard, but just couldn't hold them off. This is crazy Camp Stanley. He drives the lethal weapon, the Ford Taurus station wagon, the Wild Bunch. Camp, the Supercharged Outlaws are really killing you here today.
Well, it all depends on how you want to look at it, Bob. Where we come from, it's run what you brung, he who gets there first wins. Blood and guts, go for your throat. You want a 790 brake light race? Fine. Count the win lights for the Wild Bunch.
Camp, without a doubt, it's the most gorgeous car in the whole Wild Bunch. Why did you build a Ford Taurus station wagon?
Well, for the last 10 or 12 years, my race cars have always been different because they've been door slammers with blown fuel-injected motors in them. There are no Fords in the Wild Bunch with the exception of this car. The car basically was designed and built from the ground up. There is no chassis jig, pre-cut deal that you can do with it. Mr. Rizzoli and I put our heads together. He came up with a lot of neat ideas. This car does not have a piece of box tubing anywhere. It's all round tube chassis. We just decided build something different because the body's different, and we'd go from there, and this is what it's turned out to be. This Balls 429 is a motor that you see all the pro stockers, the Gliddens, the Roy Hills, the Ricky Smiths, the heavy hitters out there killing people in pro stock with. This right now is the only AR motor in drag racing in supercharged alcohol application. This is the original motor that Billy Meyer tested in his funny car 4 years ago. It's 498 inches at 9-to-1. It's propelled this 3,200-pound car to a best of 797, 173. The motor has lots and lots of potential. But the name of the game, bottom line in the Wild Bunch, is boy, I wish I had something different.
Being beat first round doesn't really bother me. We came here to put on a good show for the people. We came on here to pick up the win light at all costs, which we tried to do, even if it meant running out, the cars running faster, and I'm sure the crowd likes to see fast cars.
This is Elmer Wachter, one of the founding members of the Wild Bunch. Elmer, tell us, how did the Wild Bunch get started?
Well, a group of racers originally were bracket racers and all enjoyed running back and forth with themselves. Every racer's desires go a little bit faster. Tommy Howes originally put a blower on his car, and he noticed all the people coming up out of the pit area watching the car run, so it kind of caught on rather well. About 3 or 4 of the cars did it, and it stemmed into something where we traveled together. We kind of did it for free because we enjoyed it, but we've been doing racing for free for many years, and we realized that we had something that was saleable, something that the crowd enjoyed, and something that was promotable.
Well, let me ask you one more question. Have you done any brain transplants here in the staging lanes this weekend?
No, I've been asked to do a couple on the other group. I might have to do it to just kind of slow the reaction time down a little bit.
Okay, Elmer Wachter, one of the founding fathers of the Wild Bunch. This is the husband and wife team of Frank and Linda Mazie from Ohio that put together the Supercharged Outlaws group. Frank, how did the Supercharged Outlaws come about?
It was a small group of racers from about a 3-state area, Pennsylvania, New York, and Ohio. We got together because we wanted to race competitively with our types of vehicles. And we developed our own competition or class of racing amongst ourselves, but still managed to keep a reasonable entertainment package for the track promoters.
Frank, we just talked to the Wild Bunch. They say that you guys might have won the race on the breakouts, but they got the win lights. What do you think about that?
Well, they can say what they want at this particular point, but I really feel that all of our drivers came up here to make this a competitive event. We've shown that we can do that. We run competitively week in and week out, and we do it amongst ourselves. The fact that we have new people out there that we're racing against, if they know their combination and get down the racetrack in a good amount of time, we're going to do the same thing. And then the best man's going to win. This event was scheduled to work on a handicap basis to bring a little bit more parity between the race cars. We've done that, and we're showing that we can do our job.
As Crew Chief Jimmy Lyons packs the parachutes, let's take a look at a typical Wild Bunch car, this being the Datsun of Tommy Howes. This is the interior. A sturdy roll cage surrounds the driver, and this is the driver's eye view. What he sees as he goes down the drag strip, an aluminum dashboard, the steering wheel, the tack mounted up on the dash. Giant wheel tubs engulf the rear tires, 14 inches wide. Here's the $6,000 Lenco racing transmission with 4 gear levers, 1 for each speed. This is the roll cage that completely surrounds the driver in the event of an emergency. Working headlights for racing at night. Sticking through the hood, there's the motor. 500 cubic inch aluminum Chevy racing engine, supercharged, fuel injected, burns methanol alcohol, about 2,000 horsepower. Funny car style headers. Massive 14 inch racing slicks. And most important of all, the twin parachutes. You know what they're for.
We're all set for second round action in the torrid battle between the Outlaws and the Bunch. The Outlaws favor that breakout racing, but the Bunch is really adamant about getting those win lights. It's getting a little darker now as the sun is setting over the quiet farmlands here in upstate New York. First pair out is Grandpa Hines squaring off against Dave Dudley. Hines, he likes to go hunting. He doesn't shoot too straight, though. The only deer he got last year was the one he hit with his truck on the way to the races. Now he's gunning for the Fiat Coupe and hoping Dudley doesn't do right. This is the last chance the Bunch is going to have to even up the beating they took in the first round. Gets there first. He revenges his first round loss to the Supercharged Outlaws. That's a win for the Wild Bunch. Now, ladies and gentlemen, get ready. Here comes the man. He's the meanest of the main, the coolest of the cool, the slickest of the slick. The baddest car here today, Tommy Howes. Frederick and his funny car's going to have a battle Tommy's crew chief, Jimmy Lyons, has been with him for 12 years. Jimmy does at least 75% of the maintenance on the car, which is consistently the swiftest of all the Wild Bunch door slammers. The car is so fast, Tommy admits the best part is sitting back and watching the rest beat their brains out trying to catch up. Oh, not a good day for Tommy Howes. He broke in the first round and just missed beating the funny car here. Now here's my favorite car, the quickest and fastest wheel, 67 Camaro in the land. This is Denny Brightwell's Bright Light Camaro, the wheel stand king of the bunch. Every part of this car's body is original factory sheet metal except for the fiberglass hood. Look at that Camaro side by side with the dragster all the way. The next pass will be a little different for the good position. He's going to get a handicap start, the quicker Vega funny car. Handicapping gives the slower car a head start, and the quicker Vega will try to catch Elmer without breaking out or running under his dial-in. To Dr. Wacko. A red light he left before the green light came on, so the automatic wing goes to the Dr. Wacko G. Here's a door slammer taking on an open wheel car. At 26 years old, Jeff Weddle is the youngest member of the bunch. He's a full-time transmission mechanic and a part-time racer, but I'm sure he'd rather have it the other way around. Just blows McIntyre into the weeds. Now, you've already seen Camp Stanley's old race car, the Just Lovin' It pickup truck. It's been replaced by this unorthodox Ford Taurus wagon. Now, Camp couldn't bear to get rid of his old truck. Do you know where it is now? Sitting on 4 flat tires in his backyard with weeds growing out of it. Well, it's over. The expected confrontation between the Supercharged Outlaws and the Wild Bunch is over. Supercharged Outlaws, if you look at the win sheet, got 14 wins out of a possible 16. Although the Wild Bunch did get more actual win lights. Remember, this was a bracket race. It was breakout situation. The Wild Bunch isn't used to doing that. They like to run all out and take the win lights, and that's what they did here today. In closing, I'd just like to say, there's a camaraderie between the Supercharged Outlaws and the Wild Bunch that just can't be described in words. These two guys battle it out on the drag strip all day, but back in the pits, they're the best of friends. Here at Motor City Raceway in Leicester, New York, I'm Bobby Dorr for Main Event Video.